Welcome back to Forgotten Civilization. In Episode 1, we uncovered the discovery of Göbekli Tepe, a site so old, so advanced, that it forced archaeologists to rewrite the timeline of human history. But as astonishing as the discovery itself was, the real mystery lies not in the dirt, but in the stones. Today, in Episode 2, Secrets of the First Temple, we step inside the heart of Göbekli Tepe. We'll walk among the towering pillars, study the mysterious carvings, and uncover the sacred purpose behind this place. Why did ancient hunter-gatherers carve foxes, vultures, and scorpions into massive stones? Why did they design circles guarded by giant T-shaped beings? And what rituals did they perform here, under the open sky? This episode will take you deep into the world of symbols, gods, and ceremonies. We'll ask, was Göbekli Tepe the first true temple of mankind? Was it a sanctuary for the living, or a gateway for the dead? And could it even have been the first observatory, connecting human life with the stars? Join us now as we unlock the carvings, decode the architecture, and reveal the hidden power of the world's oldest known temple. When the first stones of Göbekli Tepe rose out of the earth, archaeologists were stunned. But as excavation continued, the shock only grew deeper. This was not just a random collection of carved rocks. This was a planned structure, a monument designed with meaning. Every pillar, every carving, every circle had a purpose. And in the details of this ancient architecture, we begin to uncover the secrets of the first temple. The circles of stone Göbekli Tepe is built from enormous stone circles, sometimes called enclosures. So far, archaeologists have uncovered at least 4 major circles, each up to 65 feet wide. But radar scans suggest there may be dozens more still buried, waiting beneath the hill. Each circle is made of towering T-shaped pillars placed upright in the ground. In the center of every circle stand 2 massive pillars facing each other, much larger than the rest. Around them, smaller pillars are arranged like a ring of guardians. Together they create the shape of a sanctuary, an open-air temple under the sky. The size of these stones is almost unbelievable. Some weigh 10 to 20 tons. Moving them would require hundreds of people working together. But Göbekli Tepe's builders had no wheels, no carts, no beasts of burden strong enough to haul such weights. So how did they do it? Most likely, they carved the limestone pillars directly from the nearby bedrock. They then dragged them across the hill on sledges or rolled them on logs. It would have taken immense effort, careful planning, and a strong reason to build something this massive. The T-shape of the pillars is one of Göbekli Tepe's most mysterious features. They look simple at first, 2 blocks forming a capital T. But when you look closer, some pillars have carved arms running down their sides, with hands clasped together at the front. These details suggest the pillars weren't just stones. They were meant to represent human figures, perhaps gods, ancestors, or spirits. Imagine standing in the middle of one of these circles, surrounded by giant stone beings, each one staring silently through the ages. The carvings, animals and symbols. If the pillars themselves are mysterious, the carvings make them even stranger. Covering the stones are reliefs of animals: foxes, snakes, scorpions, lions, wild boars, cranes, vultures, and more. Some of the animals are native to the region. Others are more symbolic, chosen not for their presence in daily life, but for their meaning. Take the fox, for example. It appears again and again in Göbekli Tepe's carvings. Was the fox a trickster spirit, a guardian, or a symbol of transformation? We may never know, but the repetition suggests it held powerful meaning. The vulture is another key symbol. On one pillar, vultures stand alongside headless human figures. Some scholars think this points to sky burials, a ritual where bodies were left exposed to be eaten by birds before the bones were collected. If true, this would make Göbekli Tepe one of the earliest sacred sites linked to death rituals. Others believe the vultures represent the soul being carried to another world, a sign of rebirth after death. There's also the vulture stone, one of the most famous carvings at the site. It shows a series of animals along with strange geometric symbols, a circle, a crescent, and shapes that some believe might represent stars or constellations. Could this be one of the first attempts to connect the heavens with human life? A kind of prehistoric astronomy. And then there are carvings of abstract symbols, H shapes, circles, crescents, and mysterious patterns that don't match any known language. Some researchers believe these could be early steps towards symbolic writing, thousands of years before Sumerians developed cuneiform. If true, it would mean Göbekli Tepe's builders were not just artists and builders, but also the first to record meaning in symbols, the meaning of the temple. But what was Göbekli Tepe for? Why carve these animals? Why build these circles? Most archaeologists believe Göbekli Tepe was a ritual site. The builders were hunter-gatherers, yet they created a place that looks like a sanctuary. The pillars may represent gods or ancestors, the animals may be spirit guides, and the circles may have been used for ceremonies. Some theories suggest the site was a communal meeting ground. Tribes from across the region may have gathered here seasonally to worship, feast, and bond. In this way, the temple would have united people who otherwise lived scattered and separate. Religion, in other words, was the glue that brought humans together. Other researchers see Göbekli Tepe as a place of initiation, where people underwent rituals to join the community or prove themselves to the gods. The imagery of death and rebirth, of animals and transformation, suggests that ceremonies of great importance may have taken place here. There's even evidence that feasting was part of the rituals. Archaeologists have found large stone basins that may have been used for brewing beer or storing liquids. Imagine hundreds of people gathered at the temple, sharing food, drinking together, celebrating life while honoring the spirits carved into stone. The mystery of the pillars. What makes Göbekli Tepe truly remarkable is the deliberate planning behind it. The circles are not random. The placement of pillars is precise. The carvings are carefully chosen. Each enclosure seems to tell a different story, as if each circle was a chapter in a larger book. Some researchers suggest the pillars may have also served as astronomical markers. The carvings of stars and animals could represent constellations, tracking the movement of the heavens. If true, Göbekli Tepe would not just be the first temple, but also one of the first observatories in human history. And then there's the question of the two central pillars in each circle. Why always two? Some think they represent a pair of gods, perhaps male and female, symbolizing balance. Others see them as ancestors, guardians, or even representations of cosmic forces. Whatever their meaning, the central pair dominates each enclosure, as if all ceremonies revolved around them. A place between worlds. Standing inside Göbekli Tepe must have been an overwhelming experience. Imagine the tall pillars towering above you, the carvings glowing in the firelight, the night sky open above. Surrounded by giant stone beings and sacred animals, you would feel that you were no longer in the everyday world. You were in a place between worlds, a space where humans could speak to the gods, where the living could meet the spirits of the dead. This is what makes Göbekli Tepe so extraordinary. It wasn't just a shelter. It wasn't just a gathering place. It was a bridge between earth and sky, between human and divine. It was the first great temple of mankind. Göbekli Tepe's architecture and carvings reveal a story of people who were far from primitive. They were organized, spiritual, and imaginative. They created not just stone circles, but a vision of the world, one that connected animals, humans, and gods in a sacred space. And yet, mysteries remain. What happened to the builders? Why did they create so many circles, only to bury them later? What was so important that they devoted their lives to carving stone in a world where survival was already hard enough?
In our next and final episode, we'll uncover the legacy of Göbekli Tepe, the way it rewrote human history, the theories and controversies about its builders, and the mystery of why this sacred site was buried on purpose. The stones of Göbekli Tepe have stood for over 11,000 years, yet they still speak to us today.
Through their carvings of animals, their towering T-shaped guardians, and their precise design, they reveal that humanity's earliest builders were far from primitive. They were dreamers, visionaries, and believers. They built not just circles of stone, but a doorway between worlds, between earth and sky, life and death, human and divine. And yet, the questions remain. Why here, in this barren hill? Why devote such enormous effort to carving stone, when survival itself was already a struggle? And perhaps the greatest mystery of all, Why did the builders one day decide to bury their own masterpiece? In our next and final chapter, Episode 3, The Legacy of Göbekli Tepe, we'll uncover how this ancient temple continues to reshape our understanding of civilization. We'll explore the theories, the controversies, and the haunting mystery of its deliberate burial. This is not just the story of a temple, it is the story of the human spirit, reaching beyond survival to seek meaning in the cosmos. I'm your host, and this is Forgotten Civilization. If you've enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the final episode of this series. Until then, keep searching, keep questioning, and never stop uncovering the secrets of our forgotten past.